You are standing in front of a mirror in a dimly lit room, just like the image that brought you here. You look at your reflection, expecting to see yourself. But instead, you see a hollow silhouette made entirely of glowing red notifications and desperate digital hearts. We all tell ourselves the same lie. Social media is just a tool. A bad habit we need to manage with timers and discipline. We download screen time trackers. We set boundaries. We tell ourselves we are in control, but what if it is not a tool at all? What if it is a parasite? I did not understand this until a quiet conversation with an elderly Zen monk in Kyoto shattered my reality. It was not a lecture on time management. It was not about building better habits or setting healthier boundaries. It was a terrifying look at what these apps are actually doing to the human soul. This is the story of that conversation. And by the end, you will understand why I walked out of that monastery and deleted every single social app from my phone without hesitation. Maya is a burnt-out digital brand manager living in a major city. From the outside, she is the archetype of modern success. She has the apartment. She has the career. She has the followers. But internally, she is drowning. She constantly engages in what she calls authentic sharing. She posts long, vulnerable captions about her anxiety, her burnout, her struggles with comparison. She pairs them with crying selfies, raw and unfiltered. And every time she hits post, she feels a temporary rush of dopamine as the comments flood in. You are so brave, Maya. Thank you for being so real. We need more people like you. The validation feels like oxygen. But an hour later, the silence in her apartment feels heavier than before. The void grows wider, the emptiness becomes louder, and so she posts again. And again. And again. Seeking escape from this cycle, she books a retreat at a monastery in the mountains. She tells herself it is for clarity, for peace, for a digital detox. But even in the serene monastery gardens, surrounded by moss-covered stones and the sound of wind chimes, Maya is anxiously checking her phone. She is waiting for validation on her latest vulnerable post. She is counting hearts like they are proof of her worth. Master Hideo approaches her. His presence is calm like deep water. He does not speak immediately. He simply watches her thumb scroll for a moment, the blue light reflecting off her face in the golden afternoon. Then he asks a single, piercing question. Maya, who are you performing your pain for? The question lands like a stone in still water. Maya freezes. Her first instinct is to defend herself. She claims she is building community. She insists she is helping others feel less alone. She argues that vulnerability is connection. Hideo listens. Then he gently dismantles the illusion. He explains the difference between genuine human resonance and digital echoing. In the physical world, vulnerability is a risk shared between two present souls. It creates a bond. It requires courage because the other person could reject you, misunderstand you, or leave you exposed. But that risk is what makes it sacred. That is what makes it real. On the screen, she is not sharing. She is broadcasting curated suffering into a canyon. And the returning hearts are not connection. They are just the echo of her own voice, algorithmically amplified to keep her coming back. The people responding are not witnessing her pain. They are consuming it. They scroll past her tears the same way they scroll past advertisements and memes and someone else's vacation photos. Which means she has not been connecting. She has been auditioning her own life for an audience that is only watching to feel better about themselves. Every vulnerable post is not intimacy, it is performance. And the exhaustion she feels is not from sharing too much. It is the exhaustion of an actor never allowed to leave the stage. Maya sits with this truth. The weight of it presses against her chest. She realizes that the community she thought she had built is not a community at all, it is an audience. And an audience does not love you, it consumes you. It applauds when you bleed and scrolls away when you heal. Realizing your community is just an audience is a heavy burden. It leaves a void where you thought connection existed. How do you navigate that sudden emptiness? If you want to keep receiving these rare perspectives to help you navigate the void between digital noise and real reality, you should join us here by clicking subscribe. Because what comes next will change everything you thought you knew about connection. That evening, shaken by the earlier realization, Maya meets Master Hideo in the meditation hall. The space is lit only by flickering candles, their shadows dancing across ancient wooden beams. In the corner stands an antique polished bronze mirror, its surface dark and reflective like still water. Hideo guides her to stand before it. but he does not ask her to look at her physical features. He does not comment on her appearance or her posture. Instead, he leans close and whispers a question that sends chills down her spine. See the thing that is anxious when the phone is silent. Maya stares into the bronze. At first, she sees only herself. But then, as her eyes adjust to the candlelight, she begins to see something else, a shape behind her eyes. A presence that feels both familiar and foreign. A hunger that never stops gnawing. Hideo introduces the Buddhist concept of the preta, the hungry ghost. These are beings depicted in ancient texts, with immense, insatiable bellies, but tiny, needle-thin throats. They are perpetually starving, consuming endlessly, but unable to ever feel full. They wander through existence in constant agony, forever reaching for satisfaction that never comes. And then Hideo delivers the truth that breaks her. Your digital self, Maya, that curated avatar you feed with likes and attention, is a hungry ghost. The words hang in the air like smoke. Maya feels her chest tighten. She wants to argue, she wants to defend herself. But she cannot, because she knows it is true. It is a hollow effigy that wears her face. Every time she sacrifices a real-world moment to feed the app, she is starving herself to nourish a ghost that can never be satisfied. The red notifications are not gifts. They are not love. They are not connection. They are the ghost screaming for its next meal. And she has been answering that scream every single day for years. The horror is not that she was addicted. The horror is that she was actively hollowing herself out to keep an artificial reflection alive. She was sacrificing her real life, her real relationships, her real presence, to feed something that does not even exist. Something that will never say thank you. Something that will never be full. That realization is devastating. But if you do not couple it with this next truth, the magic is lost. You see, the apps know this. Hideo explained that the engineers in Silicon Valley have weaponized what Buddhists call Mara's hooks. Mara is the demon of delusion, the force that keeps beings trapped in cycles of suffering. And his hooks are triggers that bypass our higher reasoning and snag our deepest insecurities. The ding of a notification is not information. It is a psychological barb designed to yank your consciousness out of the present moment and back to feeding the hungry ghost. The infinite scroll is not entertainment. It is a trance state that keeps you disassociated from your own life. The like button is not validation. It is a slot machine lever that keeps you pulling, hoping, desperate for the jackpot of external approval. Which means these platforms are not neutral tools. They are deliberately engineered traps. And the bait is your own loneliness, your own insecurity, your own desperate need to matter. But Hideo did not end the conversation with despair. He ended it with an antidote. He introduced Maya to the concept of maitri, which translates to unconditional friendliness towards oneself. Not self-love in the Instagram caption sense. Not affirmations or filters or curated gratitude posts. But genuine radical acceptance of the person who exists before the performance begins. He told her that as long as she hated her messy, offline self, she would always run back to the polished digital mirror. As long as she believed that her real life was not enough, she would keep feeding the ghost. The only way out was to make peace with the person who exists in the silence. The person who is imperfect, unfiltered, and unseen by thousands of strangers. That person is not a failure. That person is not broken. That person is real. And real is the only thing the ghost can never be. The next morning, sitting on the train back to the city, Maya did not make a grand announcement. She did not post a final vulnerable caption about her digital detox journey. She did not film herself deleting the apps for content. She just quietly held down the icons on her screen until they started shaking, and deleted them one by one. Instagram, gone. Twitter, gone. TikTok, gone. The silence that followed was deafening. Her phone felt lighter. Her chest felt heavier. And then, for the first time in years, completely liberating. Reality beat her expectations because she thought the goal was discipline. She thought she needed willpower, timers, app blockers, accountability partners. But the goal was simpler and more terrifying than that. She needed to realize she was never the reflection in the first place. The mirror is empty. The ghost is not real, and she is free to stop feeding it whenever she chooses. You are not your follower count. You are not your engagement rate. You are not the curated highlight reel you broadcast into the void. You are the person sitting in silence right now, reading these words, feeling the weight of this truth settle into your bones. If you are ready to stop feeding the ghost and smash the mirror, subscribe as your final step toward reality. Because the world will keep building shinier mirrors and hungrier ghosts. And you need to remember that you were never meant to live inside a reflection.